There are drones here. Yes, we can see them. I'm not the only one who sees this, right? That's a lot of drones. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's hook up the water pipes. I had no idea. Okay, I have never seen this before because I haven't actually ever had the infrastructure in place. But I gotta say, that's pretty darn awesome. If you look down below, you'll notice that all 10 of our conveyor belt wall have contents in them. So I've actually added materials here. So I've added iron ingots at 1200 per minute. And then I've added quartz crystals at 720 per minute. So those have now been added to the mix because when we look at our first stage right here, where we're actually able to come out with the non-fissile uranium product and thus create the copper sheets in order to handle all of the water byproduct, the last step in the chain is actually going to require pressure conversion cubes. And pressure conversion cubes are going to require, I believe, like computers and other things. And we're going to need to have access to AI limiters, rubber, all kinds of stuff. And I want to kind of separate all of our nuclear power plant work from all the work that we've done before. So we're going to be starting off fresh, entirely fresh. We're going to need the quartz crystal and we're going to need the iron ingots in order to accomplish that task. That having been said, today I figured we'd do two things. One, we would go ahead and set up the second of the third steps with the instant plutonium cell. That's not too difficult. We just need to combine the aluminum casing with a non-fissile uranium. But then I'd also like to stabilize it by actually figuring out our water packaging setup, because right now we only really have supplied one of the uranium nuclear power plants with the water at 600 cubic meters per minute that it requires. Now U2 and U3, they don't have any water going to them. So I'd like to stabilize that by actually creating a repeatable, I guess, packaging system that we'll be able to utilize for all 15 of the nuclear power plants. So that's what I'd like to do today. So you'll notice that things may look a little bit different at the moment. We've got kind of this dead space that I filled, at least temporarily, with a bit of a, normally I'd call this like a water feature, but it's like a slug feature. You know, in gardens, when you've got a water feature, this is our slug feature. So as I get more slugs, I'll just add some more to it. It's probably not going to end up like this, but I think it's a nice fill-in at the moment. I've also added kind of a source of oil. So I'm also pulling oil drums in here because eventually we're going to need to make some rubber. So I figured, why not start the process and we can have the oil come in on this like tertiary drone island out here. And then on top of that, we've also got to start creating some AI limiters. So I utilize the assembler to bring in copper sheets and quick wire, and we're utilizing constructors to create some quick wire and then send it on over to the assembler. And guess what? We happen to have copper sheets from the last time that we were doing some work, so we might as well utilize those. So the copper sheets are coming in out, and then they're going to go ahead and create AI limiters, and that's going to work out really nicely. To help us out today, I've actually started to create aluminum casing with an assembler. So we've actually got a full bin of aluminum casings because I wanted to make sure that this was running flawlessly. And so far it's outputting 40 per minute, which is the exact amount that we need. And you'll even see down below that I've made a reminder to myself, currently it's at 40 per minute, you can overclock this. And the reason why I wrote that note to myself is because there's actually a lot of things. If you look in the distance, all of those machines are loaded with recipes already that we're going to need in order to power the Fixonium, etc., etc. And we're going to need aluminum casings down the lane as well. So this is going to be the engine that drives it all. So we might as well supply it well. So right now, you're probably wondering, what's with all the factory carts? Well, they're all queued up at a truck station because I was experimenting with different ways of moving the uranium waste. I actually didn't know that the factory carts are radiation shielded. So I figured, you know, it might be kind of cool if we are able to move the uranium waste in the factory carts. And plus it's really exciting just to see these little guys go. So I've kind of set them up on a loop. So right now I've cut off the flow down below. So now the uranium waste is actually heading out to the truck station instead of heading out over to the lift where it's going to flow down the conveyor belt. Is it more consistent this way? Probably. But is it more fun this way? Arguably. So let me show you how that works. I'm just going to go ahead and plug in the water source for uranium power plant U1, and then we'll get it to generate some uranium waste. So we'll just go pipeline mark 2, just like that, and we'll get the connection, and there it is. It's going to start to flow, and this power plant is going to start to generate a 25 per minute uranium waste, just like that. So those are going to come out the lane. Now, we've seen this before. Mind you, this is 25 per minute. In order to sustain all of the machinery that we've set up on the next phase, we're going to need 75 per minute, and that means providing U2, this one right here, and U3, this one right here, with water. And that's 1,200 cubic meters of water between the two of them, or 600 cubic meters of water per. So when these barrels get on out, eventually they'll make it over to the truck station. They'll be loaded up, and this line of factory carts is going to continue to bring it on down to another truck station that I've just temporarily placed in there, but maybe I'll go with it. We'll have to see. It's going to take them all the way out here, where they are then fed into this building to create the non-fissile uranium. So I think at the moment this should be sufficient, because if we look at the throughput, once we get these things moving, you'll see that it's traveling actually at like 79 items per minute, which is more than sufficient, because 75 per minute is our expected value. And you can see that we've also added up signage and made it look a lot prettier. So overall, I'm very excited, or I'm very happy or satisfied with the result. I think I'm going to start by getting the water to go first, because we need these things to sing at 7 with the 75 per minute incoming uranium waste, and that means actually supplying those nuclear power plants with the appropriate amount of water. So let's take care of that first, because the particle accelerator work is easy in comparison, because the work that we do right now is going to affect all of the nuclear power plants after this. All right, we are back, and we are at the nuclear power water work site, where we ran our test in order to power one of the nuclear power plants for the uranium number 1. So this is what we came up with. We had 6 different drone ports, and we just sort of, did whatever we needed to do in order to make them function, but we didn't actually try to make it repeatable, tileable, anything like that. So we actually don't need this right here. This was just an additional one. So if you get rid of these 2 packagers right here, essentially this is it. You've got an overclocked water extractor at 300 cubic meters per minute, and you've got 2 overclocked at 250% water packagers that are outputting at 150 per minute each, for a total of 300 cubic meters per minute. And you've got 2 sets of these things at 600, and then that's all loading on into 6 different ports, and 3 of the drone ports are being sent to one of the receiving ports over in front of uranium plant number 1. So that all seems pretty straightforward, but I would like to make this a little more tileable, a little more repeatable, because we're going to have to do this many, many times over. So what I did was I kind of quickly put together something else. You can see that I've got a Blueprint Mark III unit over here, so that we can actually try to use blueprints. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it or not, but here we have 1 water extractor at 300 cubic meters per minute output, and then it's being piped into 5 different water packagers. They're completely normal, no overclocking at all, at 60 per minute. So 60 per minute times 5, that's 300 cubic meters per minute, and it's rather compact. It basically comes into the middle. It's completely even on both sides, so a symmetrical distribution of water to the 5 different packagers. And then we're also distributing, well, this right here, all of these splitters are here in order to distribute empty canisters to the water packagers, and then the final product is being merged together and then passed on upstairs, where we've got some drone ports. So I figured this is nice to handle 300 cubic meters per minute, and that just means that we've got to double it. Now you'll notice there's a big issue. Back here during our tests, we found that we needed 6 drone ports, not 4 drone ports, and this right now just happens to work and fit perfectly for 4 drone ports, meaning we've got 2 drone ports per 300 cubic meters per minute. So 600 cubic meters per minute is going to actually have 4 drone ports. Now, I need 3 drone ports, not 4. So that means that we need to figure out a way to actually turn these 2 into 3. And I think we could just extend it to the sides and fit 3 in. and then work from there and see where that takes us. But obviously, that's going to be a lot of work if we need a 120 drone ports total across the board, and we got to do it all manually. So I was thinking we could kind of utilize this. This is our highest tier Blueprint Mark III. I guess, what would you call this? The Blueprint Maker? Blueprint Designer. So we're using the Blueprint Designer Mark III, and hopefully that's going to provide us with what it is that we need. It's 6x6, and it's got some height to it as well. So let's go ahead and try to replicate this, and then I'm going to leave the top completely normal, and then we'll just go from there and see if we can't make that function. If we look at this and try to recreate this, because I can't just like copy and paste this whole thing, we can see about where everything starts, right? So if I look, we've got one foundation right here, and it looks like the water extractor is going to line up with the center of a foundation. And then after that, just right on the very border of it, we've got the very first of the packagers, and everything's based off of that. So what I'm going to do is pretend like this foundation's already been laid out, and then I'm going to grab a packager and I'm going to try to duplicate this. So it's like a game, right? So obviously, now that I think about it, we're sort of, this is an even number across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but the center is in between two different foundations, right? So maybe I should be using a Mark II for 5x5. I could try that, and if I get my packager now, at least that lines up more with what we had in front of us. So I'm just going to go ahead and hold control, and you can see the box a little bit better. I'm going to place that packager right there, and then we're just going to place them right next to each other like so, and that takes care of 5. And these 5 packagers are going to be able to process the water at 300 cubic meters per minute, because all we got to do is say package water. It's got an output of 60 per minute. I'm just going to copy and paste that all the way through, and there we go. We already have them set up to process the 300 cubic meters of water per minute. I'm going to go ahead and move over to my water swatch, and we'll just get those all colored up, and already a good start, right? Now, if we get our pipes, and I go pipeline Mark I, and I pretend that right now this is, I believe it's here. It's 2 clicks up in order to send that through. Is that right? No, that's a little too high. So let me get this set up correctly. So we'll go pipeline Mark I. Let's start here. We'll bring that centered and pop that up like that. And we'll do the same thing all the way across. So right on the crosshair, bring it up. We'll just do the same thing. And this is so that we don't have to do the piping over and over and over, right? So let's go ahead and pop that up. There it is. And then at this point, we can also get the distribution of all of the canisters. So if I look over here, I'm passing the empty canisters if we're facing the pipe work from the right side. So now I'm facing the pipe work. That means it's going from right to left. So let's go ahead and have it as close as possible without being right up on the packager itself. Oh, my bad. There we go. So conveyor splitter. We'll grab that conveyor splitter, and so on and so forth. And then we'll just pass it right down the middle at a potential 1200 per minute distribution. And then we'll do the same and pass what we know to be the empty canisters into the machines, and it's going to come out this side right here. Now, I probably want to pre-color these just so I don't have to do it over and over again. Empty canisters, I'm going to make it that silver color. And I'm just going to go ahead and use the filter, and we'll select all of the conveyor belt Mark 6s, and we'll just move the mouse over. It's only going to paint up those conveyor belt Mark 6s. And then after that, I'm going to unpaint, and we're going to select all of the splitters so that they're all unpainted. There we go. Perfect. Now, the reason why it's really, really cool to get these splitters in is because it serves as a good reference point for the junctions. We can put that so that it's looks like it's sitting right on top of that splitter. So I'll put down a pipeline junction, and if I move the other ones, there's actually a guidance line to center these things. So we'll just get those as centered as we can. We'll just eyeball that because it doesn't snap or anything like that. And we'll just get rid of the pipeline supports, and then we'll rebuild them in, so that this is something that I do anyway. Every time I'm building with junctions and pipes that I place on top of another pipe, I'm going to rebuild this. And the nice thing is that once I do it here, I won't have to do it again. So we might as well do it right the first time, right? So let's go ahead and grab our pipeline Mark 1. This is the center. And then we'll just feed each of the junctions with a pipeline Mark 1. There we go. This is about as close as I can be with the junction without actually being so close that it says like the pipe length is too short, right? So this is kind of the perfect compact distance in my opinion. There we go. And then we'll take this one and we're just going to come out a little bit and we'll bump. There it is. And the reason why we have that middle bit is so that we can align it with the water extractor output. So the water extractor output is going to come up and then enter right there. So there it is. So we have 300 cubic meters of water heading into a pipeline Mark 1 being distributed across 5 different packagers. And we also have a section where we can start to feed from this side all of the empty canisters, which are going to be coming back from the drone ports as well. Now, I suppose we probably want to make sure that we've got an elevated position above for all of the drone ports. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up 4 clicks. So 2 and 4. 4 4-meter wall clicks. Oops, I'm getting too far away from our power source, so I can't float anymore. So let's go ahead and change that because that's not going to fly. So we'll just bring this one through and place that next door. There we go. Now we can fly. And I think this is a good height where we still have some space to work above the machines, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and grab, I guess we're going to use asphalt. Why not? Or better yet, actually, we might as well, let's just go ahead and use the 1 meter and then we'll hold down E and click, and that's going to allow us to select, let's go with the grip metal foundation, actually. Let's go grip metal foundation. I do like that very much. And we'll bring that over and we'll have it be, let's say, at least 3 deep, because you need a base of 2 in order to get your, I guess, your drone port on there. But 3 deep works nicely if you want to account for the overhang of the drone port. I'm going to grab a drone port here, and then I'm going to flip it around this way, and then I'm going to center one of them right here. And it's going out as far as it can without extending past the blueprint, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and clear up this amount right there. There we go. So there's that overhang, and that looks really, really nice. And the reason why I want to put it right in the middle is because then I can take another one. I could put it right next door, but I just can't fit it in the blueprint itself. So I think that's great. And then I'm just going to go ahead and have another offhang back here, which is going to allow me to take the merge product and pass it up. So let me go ahead and just put in some lifts. So this is the output of the packaged water, like so. And if I have all of the empty canisters coming from this side, I think honestly I should merge to the opposite direction, just so that we've got more room to play with, right? So I'm just going to go conveyor merger, and we're going to pass over in this direction. If I'm facing the front, basically over to the right, the opposite direction of where the empty canisters are flowing from. Oops. Like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and color this up the same as our packagers, because I like to use the same color as the machine itself to denote, oh, okay, this is the product of that machine. So basically water's coming out, right? And then in this case, we've got empty canisters coming in. So that, I think, makes sense to me. I'm curious if they'll let me pass this up. No, it's overlapping with the blueprint designer, so I can't put the lift on there. If I took the conveyor merger and put it out like this, but I don't know if that's necessarily what I want to do, but we might as well try it. Is that going to get us anywhere? Nope. See, the problem is it's going to be in between, right? You know what? I may not be able to place the drone port where I want it now that I think about it, because if you look at it, basically we want the merge stuff's going to be right here. This almost makes me need to bump this even farther forward, and I don't want to move this any farther back because I want to place these things down where I can just immediately feed from a water extractor. Doesn't make too much sense just describing it, but what I'm going to do is move this over here And I'm going to take our merger and I'm going to pass it out to the right. And I think this might be all that I can do with it. Other than maybe set it up for power. Like, how are we going to power this? It could hook up right above. That's probably the easiest thing to do. So what if we just grab... Or I guess I could still use... No, I can't really put down any sort of shenanigans like beams going down because it takes up the entire width of this. And I don't want to use the Mark III. So I guess I am going to put plugs up on the ceiling. So let me go ahead and just make sure it's aligned appropriately. We'll rather pull it forward than to this side. And we'll do something similar. So let me just go ahead and grab this. Hold. And then bump it over as centered as possible. There we go. And then hook that up. So it kind of leans to the right now that I see it. Is that all right? Yeah, I guess it's all right. It's all right enough. This is probably what I want out this far only. I do need the width of 5. And I think this is going to allow me to put these back to back with some other ones. So let's just start with this. So let me save this. And we will call it the water packager template. Just very, very straightforward. No fanciness to it at all. And let's see if this is actually usable, right? Let's see if it's usable. And I'm going to go ahead and just place it right there. There it is. So looking very, very nice already. It's already preloaded and everything. That's great. And then I can get a water extractor and just line it up with this hose, right? So what if we just do this? That might be a little bit too close now that I think about it. So I might need to readjust, maybe back here. And I'm just going to grab the pipeline Mark 1, switch over to horizontal to vertical, and there it is. All right, perfect. So now, if I power this up, and I get our power shards, and I slam them all in, and crank it up to 300 cubic meters per minute, and then we can just have a protocol, right? I'm just seeing what is going to fit and what is not going to fit, etc. So if I just go ahead and make sure that we must have, let's say, a space in between this one and that one. So I must have a space in between, and this is going to be the buffer for all of the incoming empty canisters. Then that works out nicely. Now these things are saturated with water, and we just need to power this chain of machines, and these are going to start to take in water, and then eventually that's going to stop. But this is 300 cubic meters worth of processing, and we're just missing the empty canisters. Those are going to come on out. Let's go ahead and see where we put the drone ports. So I'm going to want to center this so that I can fit 3 drone ports, right? So I want 3 drone ports, and I do need to overhang like so, which is why I can't fit that into the blueprint designer. Yeah, that looks centered. And then I'm going to have to come out 2 more actually, just to fit everything. And I'm going to need to come out 2 more to the right as well, which just happens to be the exact amount of distance that we had. Lucky me. So we'll put 1 in here, and we'll put 1 on that side. And that, bunnies, is powering 3. 3 right here, right? That doesn't look too bad. So how is this going to work? We're going to want to make sure that they can take in fuel, and we're going to want to make sure they take in the product itself, right? So if we were to, let's say, have the lift come out the back end, which has all of maybe we'll head out this way like that. So if we have the lift come straight up from all of the merging, so we'll say water right here. These are all the packaged water. We want to distribute it to these points right here. So I'm going to say there's 1. There's 2 floor holes. Although, to be fair, we probably need to line this up with that floor hole. So I'm going to do something like that. So we need a little bit of space between the actual port hole and the floor hole that we're using to feed. And then we'll just pass it in. And I'm going to pre-color it up with water. Although that fits. Why do these not fit? Oh, you know, these are... It doesn't fit because it's not aligned. That's why. That makes sense. There it is. Okay, the other one's fit. That's perfectly fine. Unless that's not a line. No, that's a line. It's like at its limit. It's at its limit. And then we're gonna have the bottom of the lifts face the same exact direction. And that means I can actually get rid of this. And we'll just have it come up to the top, right? So it'll be up at the top. So we'll clip through and then face the same direction. It should be in alignment, which means we put a splitter and then we accept from this side and we flip this around and accept from the right. And then just pass it down the lane. So the distribution is going to happen down below and then flow up top. So I can actually pre-color that. But this is not something that I could have done in the Blueprint Designer Mark II. It's something that I had to do post facto. So everything that I'm doing is going to have to be manual after the fact, which is unfortunate. But hey, it is what it is. It's totally fine. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And there we go. So that's going to distribute the package water up top to these machines. I'll go ahead and just pre-mark. So I'll say, you know, we'll just choose 2 different colors. And then I think I chose like pink over there or something like that just to be different. There we go. So we've got 3 different machines. They're all being fed water. We now need to receive empty canisters and pass them down into this container right here. So I'm going to go ahead and take, let's say we need a little bit of staggering going on right here. So this is incoming from these ports. And we shall receive like so. Perfect. And then I'm actually going to make them unpainted just so that they actually match how we did things below with the empty canisters, because we want to follow the same sort of, you know, visual language so that all those things are actually going to make sense when we're troubleshooting and stuff like that. Well, this is going to merge together because we want to pass these back into the same system. There it is. And then this is finally going to head straight down. And receive. There it is. So this is basically the merged amount coming into this container and then flowing back into the system. And these are being passed straight from the drone ports that are landing in order to pick up the water. They're also dropping off the empty canisters. And that actually works out really nicely, actually. I think that's as close as I'm willing to go. That's as close as I can go. I'm probably going to need to move this whole thing too, so I guess I won't be too exact about it. But then again, you do things the way you practice them, right? So we might as well. Okay, there we go. So that's most of it. The only thing missing is honestly the fuel distribution, but I think that's going to be perfectly okay because we can actually have a raise up here. You know what I mean? We can do this, and then we'll have a fuel drone port that's going to accept all of the rocket fuel from up here. So I think that's how I'm going to do it. Now, do we need this extra amount? We don't. So we can cut this right off. And that means, in theory, no, we do. We do need that, because here's what's going to happen. If I put something back to back with this, these are going to conflict. So I do need this extra foundation's worth of space. So how wide is this? And then we'll know for sure, you know, how this is all going to be structured. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 above. That's it. So it's 4 above, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 wide. So right now I need to reserve space, which is 9 by 4. Okay, so let me just write that down. So on the notes, one of these, I guess, templated water packaging setups is going to be 9 by 4 right at the very base. 9 by 4 foundation. So 9 by 4 foundations for 300 cubic meters. And it says M3, but I don't know how to do superscript there. So there it is. This is basically what we're going to be building. So I need to replicate this multiple times, and then I need to put this back to back. We're going to make enough for 3 different nuclear power plants, and then I shall return. Now, it was a lot faster with the blueprints, but that took a while. So right now, this is kind of my fast version of it. We've got 300 cubic meters of water coming out of one water extractor, and this is destined for U1. That's uranium nuclear power plant number 1. And then we've got 3 on this side. And this is another 300 cubic meters of water that are outputting in order to prepare for the second receiving port of uranium nuclear power plant number 1. Then we've got the same thing happening down the lane. That's 1,800 cubic meters of water all going by, and all we got to do is assign them. Now, there is a bit of an issue because I haven't populated all of these lanes with empty canisters yet. So it's a matter of I just need to assign them, and then we'll head on over to the other side at the nuclear work site, and then we'll see how the water flows and where there are gaps. But then at least we'll be able to start to work on the next part. And then this stuff I can kind of do on my own, but at least the infrastructure is now set. So it's just a matter of actually sending these things on over. So U1, as an example, is going to go over to nuclear power plant U1 water receiving number 1. So that's the idea. So we're just going to go ahead and send these 3 over there. And this is going to be the same. So we go water U1 receiving 1. And then on the opposite side, we're going to make it U1 receiving 2. So we have water U1 receiving 2. And now I've just got to do the same thing for these down here. So I'm going to go in and complete that, and then I'll meet you on over at the nuclear work site. All right, now I'm pretty excited about this because I've never actually had 75 per minute of uranium waste coming on out of the nuclear power plant. So already I can tell there are drones here. There are drones here. Yes, we can see them. I'm not the only one who sees this, right? That's a lot of drones. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's hook up the water pipes. I had no idea. Okay. I have never seen this before because I haven't actually ever had the infrastructure in place. But I got to say, that's pretty darn awesome. They're clipping a little, but I don't care. That's pretty epic. Wow. All right. Well, tell you what. Let's go in and get these pipes. It's just 3 pipeline Mark IIs. So we're just going to connect that right there. That's 1. We've got pipeline Mark II to number 2, and then we've got uranium nuclear power plant number 3, and there they go. Already the nuclear waste is coming on out. That's excellent. Yes, and if we look at the backside here, we should be seeing the water. Look at that operation. That is quite... Wow. Now you might be asking yourself, why would you do this? Because look at it. It's so cool. Would it be much better to actually just pipe the water from here to there? Yes. Yes, 100%. It'd be more efficient. It'd take way less time. But that is so cool. It's like a bunch of little soldiers from the Nutcracker just marching to the tune of the water packaging fairy, right? Isn't that awesome? Holy crap. And then all the drones are just waiting for their turn. And out we go. Look at that. 98%. All right. 98%. 100%. Perfect. I mean, looking pretty good, right? Not too shabby. And there it is. All the uranium waste. Now, that's heading on into the truck station. And it doesn't even really get to build up too much. Because next thing you know, there's a whole line of factory carts just waiting to bring this on over. Oh, this is so cool. And then watch that. They go in and pick that up. They get ready to go. And then zippity-doo-dah. There they go. So if we follow one of them, let's say. Oh, there he's picking up speed. I don't know if I can match that. Here, let's... There he is. You'll notice our radiation level is actually not that high considering he's carrying uranium waste. And then he heads on over here and he's going to drop it off. Oops, bumping into things here, and there they go. Look at that. So that's going to be coming in at 75 per minute. If we look at the rate, it's, well, 7 items per minute, but it should start to accelerate. Now, mind you, if this doesn't work, it's easy enough. I already have the whole line connected so that I can just pass the uranium waste the normal way with a long conveyor belt. But I figured this was kind of fun, and it made it feel like a little Rube Goldberg machine. So there goes the uranium waste. It's heading on in to the facility that we built last time. And in theory, this is going to be fast enough that these things are going to be able to crank out the non-fissile uranium at the appropriate rate. We're already stacking up quite a lot right here. And the water should be coming through when that's working. Why is this idle? These should get sunk out. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a backup here, and that's going to stop the non-fissile uranium. That's not good. So let's just make sure right now it's got... Aha! I didn't actually set up the smart splitter. That would make sense. So copper sheet forward, and we're going to overflow right. That should free this up, no problem. There it is. Whew. It's a good thing we caught that. Otherwise, it's going to stop everything, right? Because that's how we clear out the the byproduct water. So that's very, very, very important indeed to keep this flowing so that the water is used. There we go. So now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. There we go. So let's go ahead and take a look at the efficiency here. You can see the sushi belt coming out. Oh my God, it's all working now. It's all working. Look at this. Nitric acid, sulfuric acid. Never have we seen it go at full capacity before. This is the very first time ever. 58 items per minute. It's going to pick up once you just give it a little more time. Oh my gosh. I want to check the efficiency rating inside. I'm so excited. Oh my God, did I just... Oh, wow. That's 150 per minute of non-fissile uranium. Oh my. So 25% right now, and this is working at 27% efficiency, but it's only held back by the uranium waste itself, nothing else. So that's good. That's good. So as soon as the uranium waste picks up to full speed, then that's going to be awesome. That's going to be great. So obviously this is starting to pile up rather rapidly, so we should probably get going, right? We need 2 particle accelerators. Currently, I am creating enough aluminum casing here that we should be able to support these 2 things. We've got non-fissile uranium coming here. We've got the aluminum casings. We've got to combine them together. And then we've got to produce the next stage, which is the encased plutonium cell, right? So we're going to make 20 per minute of those. The question is, where do we put these things? I could put it up above. That might be kind of cool. It seems like we've got a lot of space to work with right now. So something tells me maybe I should avoid that. Since these refineries are out in the open, I feel like I could mirror this, right? I could totally mirror this, and that probably would look like it fits like a glove, right? So let's do that. Let's do that. Let's keep it simple. I spent a lot of time working on the other water facility, so let's just keep it simple. And it looks like this right here, we could have a little more space. So I can use a little more space here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just so that it's lining up and we've got that 3 foundation width for the alleyway. We are going to create the walls here. It's going to need to be a lot wider, that's for sure. And I definitely want it to be 2 tall. And when I say 2 tall, I mean like 2 basic walls tall. We'll go in and grab the coated concrete foundation. And we're just going to place 2 particle accelerators right next to each other. I have a bunch of other machines here because I was kind of using this as a big whiteboard area. I do need to do radio control units. That's another one. So let me just put this off to this side. I don't know how wide I have to go, but once we put 2 particle accelerators right next to each other, pretty sure it's going to have to be pretty wide because these things are pretty massive. Oops, I'm already off a little bit just with this 1 row. Oh man, it's happening. So let's bump that up. Perfect. And then we're going to bump it over so that we've got 1 foundation space. Perfect. There it is. Place the first one. And that already tells me it's got to be a lot wider. So how wide is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I want a space worth. So 1, 2, 3. And we're going to have to extend that at least 3, 4 more. Nice thing is, the dead space isn't really too much of an issue because we can use that to create the other things necessary for like pressure conversion cubes and stuff like that. I guess I'll bring that over some more. I don't know if it can bump that far, so I'm just gonna put it right next to each other. And we've got a lot more space as a result. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of these It's close enough to a foundation on this side. So I need to have some type of container. And we're going to have 2 outputs right here. So we need 2 containers because honestly, all the aluminum casing stuff like that, I want to make sure that there's some type of buffer just to keep this running smoothly. And if we're going to load on in, yeah, we've got enough space to work with. So let's just grab, we'll keep it close by. So we'll go ahead and grab ourselves conveyor wall, place it right here. We're just going to keep it simple. Materials, steel wall, and we've got 1 port that's just going to veer right on through, just like that. And if I'm perfectly honest, we probably want the container first though. So let's take care of that first. So what I'm going to do is actually get 2 containers. We're going to put 1 single stack. I'm going to line this up backwards if possible. I don't think I can do that because I would clip through the wall. So if I bump this over 1 and replace it like this, now I can do it. So now if I get a standard storage container and I line this up backwards, I can do something like this, allowing me to boost that over the top and then slam it out and it's still straight. Something like that. That's going to work out just fine. And what that does, I can take the non-fissile uranium, bring it straight down, and bring that in. So it'll come in this way, flow in. Oh, wow, I didn't realize that hooked up already. Okay. That was a surprise. It went right through the hole into the container, but at least there's some kind of container to serve as a buffer. So let's go ahead and get that all colored up. There we go. So that's the non-fissile uranium. It's flowing in at 75 or 150, or no, 300 per minute because there's 2 sets of the stuff. We'll get rid of this, get rid of that. And actually what I need to do is connect it again without that container there because I ended up connecting it directly to the container. I want to do that. There it is. Perfect. And connect it. Perfect. So color up. There it is. There it is. Nuclear material moving right across the mainway. Don't know how I think about that, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead. I don't think I can get rid of this stuff. I can't trash it. Nuclear waste cannot be destroyed. Fix it does not waste. Yep. There it is. So I'm going to just quickly toss it into some of these machines so that we can use their internal buffer to handle this. That's going to draw them idle, and the uranium waste is going to kind of stack up a bit. But that's because I actually have these things flowing now. How fast is the uranium waste coming with the factory carts now? Because we gave it a little bit of time. Now it's sitting at 69 items per minute, so it's not quite at that full 75. But then again, we'll have to suss that out at some point. Okay, and then of course, we've got our aluminum casings. Let's go ahead and get another storage container. And connect. Beautiful. So we'll go with chrome for the casing. And then I'll grab everything in the container, drop it on down. We'll collect from the machine. And then I'll go down below and just make sure this can actually spit out in the right place, right? So we're going to come up this way and then come down. Oh, that's a weird one. Whenever you're a half click off. Oh, it's not quite a half click off. All right, fair enough. Do that. Is this gonna work? There it is. Oh my god. There it is. That is a weird contraption if I've ever seen one, just to make it line up. Well, there we go. So that is the aluminum casings at 40 per minute, and there's the 300 per minute of the non-fissile uranium. So let's go ahead and grab this wall, and then we can just draw them across. There it is. It kind of looks like a spinach something. It looks like it's got spinach in it or something like that. And then we just got to combine the two, right? So I'm going to have the aluminum casings here, and this is going to be the nuclear stuff. Here we go. We'll let it feed from the right. Oops, that's not correct. There it is. Perfect. Come right on through. And aluminum casing here. And non-fissile uranium there. There it is. So that's flying in, and that's all we need. We just need to say instant plutonium cell, and we need to give this up to 200%. So let's go ahead and boost that here. Bring that up to 20 on the output, and we'll copy that through to the next door neighbor. And that's looking good. So it's going to take in 300 per minute of non-fissile uranium and start outputting 40 per minute of encased plutonium cells. Let's get it powered up. I'm trying to rush this too much. Slow it down. I'm talking to myself. Here we go. Power up. And attach it to something. It doesn't really matter. How about that? There we go. So these are all powered up. And right now it's going to start outputting 40 per minute between the two of them, just into their internal buffer. So we definitely want to change that. So let's get these floor holes in here. And receive. And receive. There we go. And I'm just going to have the same color. There it is. And then we'll merge them together. I guess I can just have them come out in this direction for now. I'm not too sure where the assemblers are going to be. And then in the meantime, we'll just have a container for the stuff. And we'll do that. There it is. All right. So this is going to have our very first encased plutonium cells. Look at that. That's nuts. Are we backed up with non-fissile uranium? We are. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug on some of the nuclear power plants generating the uranium waste, because we have a greater throughput than that we can't sink out at the moment. And I don't want to keep building that up, but I'm curious how efficient things are right now. 100% here on U3. We've got 100% on U2, and we have 100% on U3. So we're firing on all cylinders right now. That's pretty awesome. With that having been said, let's go ahead and cut the pipes just to shut off and stop the creation of uranium waste so that our new facility can catch up, because we don't want too much buildup, right? And the nice thing is, with all the non-fissile uranium, you're basically turning in something that's rapidly coming through at 300 per minute into 40 per minute. Oh my God, look at that. The sushi belt, it works. Exactly 120 per minute. Oh, it's so regular. I love it. I love that so much. That's so great. And we got the deuterium pass through, the copper ingots into copper sheets. There's the non-fissile uranium. I gotta dump this off, honestly. So I wonder if I can dump this off into one of these machines here. So we'll just toss that in there. And there we go. I think I've been able to dump off all of the nuclear material that I was holding on to. I'm gonna have to do a reload in order to clear out my radiation levels, but this is it right here. It's now functional. And we're taking in 40 aluminum casings per minute, all the non-fissile uranium at 300 per minute, and then we're cranking out at 40 per minute the encased plutonium cells, which is what we're going to use in order to pass into the assemblers with a pressure conversion cube to finally make plutonium fuel rods, which is going to allow us to power that. So very, very, very cool. So just give me a moment. I'll go ahead and at least make a few cosmetic adjustments, and then we'll be right back. So this is not final at all. You can tell I haven't done any of the wiring. I've got weird spaces here, stuff like that, but at least it's a little bit cleaner, right? So we're essentially taking in a little bit of the aluminum ingots and the copper ingots in order to create the aluminum casing at 40 per minute at the moment, but we'll need this to output more, and we're going to send those other places in the future, hence why we needed a little bit more room. And then after that, we've got non-fissile uranium, which is coming out at 300 per minute and entering here 150 per minute each. And then the aluminum casings are joining on in, coming through the particle accelerators, and we are finally creating our encased plutonium cells. So that's not something that I've ever had before, so that's actually really, really cool. And then after that, we're going to have to make some pressure conversion cubes from scratch. That's going to be a lot of space. That might be all this extra space right here. So that's going to be a project, but I'm very, very, very happy with the fact that we're able to get this out of there, and that means we can actually clear this out. That's awesome. Yeah, that's nuts. I can't believe it. We did a lot. And we've got all the drones. I've currently put this all on pause, so just once again, you can see them out here, and they are circling like buzzards. They're circling like buzzards, and they're waiting to just slam out water, right? Oh man, that is crazy. Bunnies, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I think we did quite a lot. I think the most important, the most front-loaded heavy lifting that we did was actually having to do with all the water, because we're going to take that same template. We just created a bunch of drones out there. We're moving 1,800 cubic meters of water. We got to move 9,000, right? We've got to move 9,000 cubic meters of water, and we've got to set up all the unpackagers as well. So there's still a lot of work to do, but I'm very, very pleased with the results so far, and I can see it only getting better from here. So if you enjoyed the episode, please feel free to like, share, or comment down below. It helps us a great deal. I had a total blast. I hope you did as well. And I can't wait to get into the next one with you. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.